Good morning. My name is Trish Han and my current role is as the Special Educational Needs Coordinator for Messy Church. Now I have over 13 years experience of doing this role as the Messy Church SEND Advisor, and my background is as a parent of a child who has special needs. So my daughter Ellen has quadriplegic cerebral palsy, and she is actually the reason that I set up SEND Messy Church. Now the purpose of the video today, we have so many messy churches and there's all different types of people coming through the doors, and I'm hoping that the advice that I give you today in this video will help everybody to make sure that we can be welcoming every member equally, and that we can accommodate all people, especially those families who've got children with additional needs and disabilities. So I wanted to give some general advice on how you welcome in your families. I may be talking to people who've been doing this for a long time, but it's always good to have a different perspective. So what I would suggest is have at least one person who is friendly and smiley to greet people coming in at the entrance to your messy church. Do not be surprised if your visitors are unchurched. You may be the face of the church they meet for the very first time, so lots of smiles and lots of happy welcomes. It's really important that you welcome every single member of the family, whether or not they have additional needs. So it could be siblings of a child who has additional needs. It's really important to welcome them in as well. Personally, I like to try and learn everybody's name, because then when they come back the next time, you can personally greet them and it makes them feel included in your messy church. Another thing I'd like to say is look beyond the disability and see the child or the teenager or the adult as a person. Enjoy the uniqueness of each person and look for Jesus in each of them. Another important point to remember is if you speak directly to the person who may have the additional needs as well as to their carer, get down to their height level if they're in a wheelchair. It's not very nice to have somebody towering above you if you're sitting down. Now, some guests may feel uncomfortable with direct eye contact, but they will actually still be listening to you. Another important point I would suggest is to sensitively seek advice from the parents or the carers as to how you can offer them assistance. Any assistance you give should be offered, never forced. When I am communicating in our special needs messy church, I do try and keep the language simple and concise. Sometimes I'll use Makaton pictures, sometimes I use Makaton signs like the good morning. You can print out Makaton signs off the Makaton website to either dot round your room or to use during your celebration time, your worship time. And you can buy from Amazon essential needs cards. I haven't got any to show you because I couldn't find them. But as part of our routine, what we can do and what we do have is a now and next card. Now, this is just a sheet of laminated paper that has now and next, and they have Velcro on the back, and you can add things to it such as sensory table play just now, and then next it would be lunchtime. I have a range of different pictures here, so it might be the child wants to play with some bubbles. They also might want to play with some shaving foam. That's just another two. And you can print out all sorts of pictures, and it's a great inclusive resource for guests who like routine children who may be on the autistic spectrum and who like to know what activities are happening now and what are happening next. The picture timetable is also a functional communication tool for guests who are non-verbal or who might have limited speech. Most surprises may not be welcome, so you might want to consider whether some individuals may need preparing for something unexpected that breaks the routine, especially sudden loud noises. So it might be another child making a noise. It might make people jump. So I'm a big fan of sensory play for our children with additional needs, and the benefits of sensory play include supporting brain development, enhancing memory, complex tasks and problem solving. The children are able to develop fine motor skills through tactile play, using scissors or holding pens, for example. And sensory play also supports language development, communication and social skills, enhances their memory and their observational skills. For children with additional needs that need appropriate levels of sensory stimulation, it's a really good way to use sensory play to increase that child's concentration and focus, as well as encouraging them to keep themselves occupied. So a lot of sensory play and sensory stimulation can also develop their muscle tone. It's inclusive and it appeals to children who have their own way of playing. Sensory play is important for children with autism, as engaging in sensory play can retrain the brain's response to sensory information. The children can then cope better when dealing with different sounds, different textures, bright lights, different scents and different tastes. And sensory play also has a calming effect on many children who are on the autistic spectrum. It's therapeutic and educational, but most of all, it provides an awful lot of fun. So why do we use sensory toys? Well, as I've said before, it supports cognitive development, as children can sort items by size, by colour and shape. It gives them opportunities to explore the different senses, including sight, sound, touch and smell and taste in some cases. I've got some examples of sensory toys. So here we have a lovely squishy ball that has lots of ends and is quite bouncy, and it's because it's squishy and bouncy and it feels very rubbery, but it's a nice tactile toy for children who are really into holding and squishing rubbery things. We've also got spiky balls. Now you might see some of these in shops. Some of them light up. This has got a bell inside. And again, that's another really nice sensory toy. We also have, I'm not quite sure what this is called, but it has a red colour mixed with water, and I don't know whether you can see there's little what look like knobbles, for a better want of words, and it just creates a pattern of bubbles as you turn it upside down. And another sensory toy I have is this little caterpillar, which is multicoloured, and as you can see it moves. It's like a nice wiggly worm, and it makes a nice clacky noise as well. And again, that's a really good sensory toy if a child wants to just sit and have one item. It feels nice as well. It's nice and smooth. And I have a little chick here I used over Easter, and it's soft, rubbery, and obviously it lights up as well, which is nice to use in sensory trays, which I'll be talking about in a moment. And one of our other toys, which is quite popular, are these funny looking things, and if you pull the hand or the leg, it pops out. I think they're called popoids. It pops out and then you can just pop it back in, but kids quite like to put it into funny shapes, and they like the noise and they like the texture as well, because it's got quite a ridged feel to it. Now, other examples of sensory toys can be just different materials. I have got some scarves here, which I have in different colours, and they're nice and silky smooth, and some children like to have them just gently draped over their skin. It could be their arms, it could be their face. Obviously it's important to find out what they like, what they don't like. But all of these different toys can help engage their senses in different ways. I am going to talk about a sensory tray in a moment, but also to finish, not to finish, but also to say that ear defenders are really important for some children because it blots out any noise. If people beside you are just a bit excited, and these block out noise, and they're very good for keeping some children calm if they don't like the extra noise around them. So I'd like to talk about the benefits of sensory trays. So this morning I did our Messy Church Send session on Pentecost, and we had a sensory tray. We had a big tray, and these are some of the items that we put into them. So we had different size funnels, and we had feathers, and we had red and gold foil. It's very light and it's nice and sensory. And we had rice as well, which is red and yellow and pink. And that was very good for kids to put through the funnel, and obviously there were bigger funnels, and it's just really nice sensory sensations. I also had some streamers, which were red, orange and yellow, which we cut up and put into the sensory tray as well. Now, these items don't have to be expensive. If you go to pound shops, if you go to charity shops, you can find a wide selection of sensory toys and items that you could put in your sensory tray. Now, the thing I like about sensory trays is they, again, support cognitive development in children. The children can sort out items via shape and size and colour. They can use multiple senses through play using sight, sound, touch and smell, especially if you've got items like rice or dried pasta. You can use different materials to provide tactile sensations to engage their senses, and you can use items or options to include sand, rice, uncooked pasta, shaving foam, jelly is a good one, buttons, beads, ice cubes, shredded paper, water, clay, Play-Doh. It can be anything that has a different texture or a taste or a smell. And the other really good thing to note is that sensory trays again have a calming therapeutic effect. They're fun, they're educational, you can theme them. They can be based on summer holidays. They can be based around the church calendar. So the one today was about Pentecost. I do Christmas ones as well, and I try and do Epiphany ones. So you can basically mix and match to fit in with your Messy Church theme. And it's just a really good way of getting your children in, getting them to play, getting the siblings involved to play as well with their brother or their sister. So to finish off this teaching segment, I would just say, keep it short, keep it simple, keep it interactive, very visual and sensory. Have lots of fun and enjoy much laughter whilst teaching your visitors about God in Messy Church. Goodbye.